Isa ka ba sa mahilig sa science fiction?
Gusto mo ba malaman kung saan nakaabot ang teknolohiya natin ngayon?
Interesado ka ba sa mga posibleng solusyon sa mga sakit?
Well, matila kayo nakatutok dahil pag-uusapan natin yan dito sa...
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Jeruel James Ricafort.
At ako naman po si Erdcen Mabuti. Ngayon, nagbibigay ng isang napakainit na topic.
Tama, dahil di lang tayo magdadive sa world ng science.
Lalabanin pa natin punta sa world ng genetics.
Specifically, ang topic natin ngayon ay CRISPR technology, modifying genetics and future cure for illnesses. May tanong ako. Anong naiisip mo pag narinig mo ang word na CRISPR? You have an idea on what it is?
Finally, naisip ko na pagkain kasi malaki crunchy at tunog eh.
Gutom ka na naman ata.
Hindi naman. Pero nung narinig ko yung buong title, syempre, it has something to do with genes. Tapos mga DNA, ganun. Bale, ine-edit yun para ma-cure ang sakit.
Yun, nadali mo.
More details on that from our speakers today dahil kasama natin ngayon si Jessica Ligutan.
Hello, kumusta kayong lahat?
Si Jeverson Franco.
Hey, what's up?
Si Noren Morados.
Hello.
And last but not the least, si Roland Duran.
Hello po.
Oh, yun no. So, meron tayong tatlong questions regarding our topic today. At yun ay, what are the benefits and downsides of CRISPR technology? Sunod ang, is the process of genetic engineering ethical? And what other scientific uses might CRISPR have beyond genome editing? Finally, will there be great detrimental genetic consequences? May that be long-term or short-term?
Okay, so throughout the podcast, masasagot natin ang mga tanong na yan. Pero as starter, what does CRISPR stand for? Jessica, can you enlighten us?
Hi, so yung CRISPR stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats, and it has been worked on for years, and the CRISPR mechanism is actually first published noong 1987.
Well, technology has greatly evolved over time. It has transformed the way of living today. Lalo kung maraming inventions tulad ng printers. Dati printing press lang yan. Computers. Lalo ko pa dati, ang computer noon, bababox pa siya eh, no? Hindi pa yung mga flat screen eh. Tapos mga mobile gadgets, nag-upgrade sila over time. So lahat yun, nag-develop throughout the years. In technology, nagde-develop siya sa iba-ibang fields. And one of these outstanding developments are in the fields of medicine.
Yes, precisely as to what we'll talk about today, ito yung development ng CRISPR technology.
So, CRISPR technology allows researchers to edit or alter the DNA sequence and modify the functions of genes. Tama ba?
Yes, tama ka dyan, tama ka.
Is this some kind of research a great investment for our future? For our children's future?
Yun, napakaganda question yan. Goods yan, goods yan.
Well, yes, it definitely is. Itong CRISPR technology ay ginagamit to modify genes, hindi lang ng mga humans, kundi sa plants and animals to gain some certain resistance sa isang certain disease na hindi pa ngayon na-cure. By this, nalalaman natin o naiintindihan natin by observing kung paano nga ba nag-work yung genetics sa isang organism at kung paano ba malalabanan yung iba't ibang infections or illnesses. At kung maging successful man itong CRISPR technology na to, maaari itong maging susi sa pagiging immortalidad natin. For example na lang, sa research from Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences and National Center at sa Southwest University, nakapag-develop sila ng isang kind of citrus plant na resistant sa citrus canker na nagka-cause by Xanthonomas C3. May mga researchers din na nag-apply ng CRISPR technology sa humans in hope to find a cure for HIV or kung tinatawag natin na human immunodeficiency virus. If we are able to fully control how the genes work, we might be able to overcome death or we might be able to live a longer life. Also, investing in this kind of research benefit us big time. Siyempre, yung mga research, gusto nila na mapadali yung mga research nila. Gusto nila makita yung agarang resulta. So, itong proseso na to, itong CRISPR technology na to, ay magandang research na pag-aralan. Dahil maaari siyang magamit or makita in a much faster and better way without wasting time. At yung procedure na to, since efficient nga siya, maaari siyang gamitin sa mga gamits or what we call sex cells. This is the ova or egg cells and the sperm cells.
During your passage, you mentioned something or the word immortality, correct?
Yes, I have mentioned that.
That is a very heavy word.
Very, very, very heavy word.
Mm. Well, a coin has two sides naman. So, CRISPR technology may be the next key to a better life. Pero like most other things, it has its own downside too, right?
Tama, tama.
What are they then?
Well, for one, for instance, hindi pa fully developed yung technology natin. So we can still say that this research will give justice to the true nature of human genetics. But this is why it is called research. It is still constantly being observed and tested by to further analyze the results of it. And tama nga naman na kahit anong ganda ng research mo, meron pa rin may possibility pa rin na magkakaroon tayo ng bad results. It may be 0.1% probability or 50% chance. Well, since we are modifying genes, we alter some DNAs to make some changes. And yung mga changes na yon, maari hindi yun yung changes na gusto nating mangyari. This is what we call the unwanted events such as mutations that can happen. That is why we need to take extra precautions in performing this research. Pero kahit na may mga downside itong research na to, the researchers saw eh. The researchers saw a beam of hope in CRISPR technology. That is why they are eager to know if it's really the next key in living a better life. Also, etong topic na to ay hindi pa ganun ka fully accepted sa whole society since it is still a dilemma whether this kind of procedure is ethical and unacceptable. Especially it may contrast the beliefs of the church or other religious organizations since it deals to the freedom of the future generations. If CRISPR technology becomes popular, there may be great changes, especially to our future children.
Well, tulad nga nung Peter Parker principle, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oo, tama. Papa-thank you, Uncle Ben tayo dito.
So, how much can this affect the future generations?
Well, kung yung CRISPR technology ay maging successful at hindi na natin kailangan mamroblema kung magkakaroon ba ng mutation, malaki yung posibilidad na magkaroon tayo na tinatawag nating designer babies. So itong designer babies ito ay product ng CRISPR technology. These designer babies may be resistant to some kind of disease like cancer or infections, other illnesses, and maybe pwede rin sila magkaroon ng mga supernatural abilities, malakas sa pangangatawan, ganon. And this has a big impact on them because they will be different from the society and they might feel that maging outcasts or not. Well, these designer babies are also were created out of their will. So, hindi nila ginusto na maging ganito at hindi nila will na gawing designer babies. So, kung mangyari man ito, this is not normal, especially kung bata pa sila. And it may cause a division on the society.
Ooh, indeed. That'll be a really big problem, especially to the kids who are subjected as tools to create superhumans.
So, you're saying this might violate the human's right?
Yes, you're correct.
Hmm. Jefferson, do you have anything to say about it being a violation to human rights?
Yes, it may be. If hindi nila ito magagamit ng proper and in a human way, genetic engineering and selective breeding tend to be in violation rights since they entail exploiting animals for human purposes as if they were human properly rather than treating them as a valuable individuals. If not properly observed, researchers might take it as an opportunity to go beyond their ability to do procedure in the human body as well as the animal and the other organism that may lead into chaotic events.
Grabe naman. Isipin parang maaaring negative effects na ito, nakakatakot na.
True. Mukhang ayokong maging subject ng isang ganitong research.
Well, certainly. There are stories, but CRISPR has already shown promise in treating a variety of diseases and has had significant effect on editing plant genomes, allowing for a variety of beneficial agriculture applications. CRISPR technology has also shown promise in the other fields, such as disease modeling and biofuel production. There are risks in making this procedure. That is why we need to always remember the four ethical principles of bioethics, such as autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice.
I have never heard of these four ethical principles bio bioethics before.
Well, base sa pangalan, mukhang some sort of code na kailangan nila i-follow or sundin in order to prevent violating the human's right.
There are four ethical principles of bioethics, such as autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. So first, so first ethical is on autonomy. Autonomy is a norm that obligates of us to protect the decision of others who have decision-making capacity. Three conditions must exist for autonomous action by those with capacity to choose. The first condition is agency. Agency is awareness of oneself as having desires and intention of acting on them. Includes inclination, aversion, wants, and similar terms. When people have desire for some state of affairs, they form an intention to do what they believe will bring about the desired state of affairs. Further, they want their, their desire to determine their actions. Second, independence. Independence is the absence of influence that so control what a person does that it cannot be said that he or she wants to do it. They may seem a feature of autonomous action rather than an element of psychological capacity. The third element of the capacity for autonomy is means and rationality, or rational decision making. In addition to the self-consciousness of agency, the capacity of the capacity for rational decision making requires a person. And the second ethical is beneficence. Beneficence is a moral obligation to act for the benefit of others. There are two aspects of beneficence: providing benefits and balancing benefits and risks. Providing benefits. Providing benefits is something that will provide an advantage for others, something you may receive as a compensation from an insurance company or even to raise money for worthwhile cause. Balancing benefits and risk. Balancing benefits and risk harms. Benefits include early detection of disease, relief of symptoms, increased quality of life, and increased longevity. Harms include side effect, overdiagnosis, and overtreatment and unnecessary anxiety. And the third ethical is non-maleficence. Non-maleficence hold that there is an obligation not to inflict harm on others. It is closely associated with the maxim primum non nocere. The principle of non-maleficence support to the following rules: do not kill, do not cause pain or suffering, do not incapacitate, and do not cause offense. And the last ethical is justice obliges. Justice obliges us to equitably distribute benefits, risk, cost, and resources. The following arguments are supported by the principle of justice. To each person an equal share, to each person according to need, to each person according to effort, to each person according to contribution, to each person according to merit. And that's all for me.
Wow. Wow, everything interconnects and makes sense now.
Yeah, and my brain is overflowing with so many informations about this topic. I think it's time for reactors to say something. Jane?
Wow, very informative topic indeed. Thanks to our speaker. Well, of course, studying and trying to perfect every new technology takes time. It will be critical to ensure that a guide RNA is specific for its target gene, so that the CRISPR system does not attack other genes by accident. Until CRISPR therapies can be commonly used in medicine, researchers must figure out how to get them into the body, including the fact that there is so much to explore. CRISPR has certainly proven to be an important testing method. Indeed, there is enough interest in the field to warrant the formation of many biotech startups trying to treat human disease with CRISPR-inspired technology. I think CRISPR has had the most impact in basic biology labs. This low-cost gene editor is simple to use. As a result, researchers have been able to dig deeper into the fundamental mysteries of life. They can also do so in previous difficult, if not impossible, ways.
Thank you, Jane, for your spectacular insight about this topic.
Okay, so far, nasagutan na natin dalawa sa mga questions natin. Ano nga ulit yun?
Una, what are the benefits and downside of CRISPR technology? At yung isa naman is the process of genetic engineering, ethical, and what other scientific uses might CRISPR have beyond genome editing?
Yes. Ngayon, ang last question naman natin ay yung, will there be great detrimental genetic consequences? May that be long-term or short-term?
Parang yung disadvantage lang siya, no?
Oo. Pero ito, mas elaborate or detailed version. Tapos tinatackle niya yung mga negative effects, panandalian man or pangmatagalan.
Yes. So, para sa question na to, we have Noren Morados and Roland Duran.
So, tulad nga ng sinabi ni Jessica kanina, in clinical setting, CRISPR genome technology would result in unintentional heritable genetic changes, which could pose long-term risk. For example, a study that was led by Dr. Dieter Igli of Columbia University in New York showed that when using CRISPR-Cas9 for the correction of a blindness causing mutation in embryos, about half of the treated mutation in embryos ended up missing sequences on the chromosome on which the gene is situated, and sometimes even lost the entire chromosome. There is also a study with a similar effect, led by Dr. Shokrat Mitalipov of Oregon Health and Science University in Portland, while investigating embryos created using sperm known to carry a mutation that causes heart problems.
So, aside from possible short side effects of genome editing, this could be a long-term risk for the health of the test subjects.
Yes. So aside din naman sa human and animals, yung CRISPR is magagamit sa agriculture. Well, there have been positive effects such as the citrus plant who gained resistance to a certain disease, growth in food production and its quality. It could also be the answer to meet the heavy food demands that are still met in many countries, and pest-resilient crops, which can address pest and nutrition challenges facing agriculture. So instead of using of insecticides and pesticides, we can protect our plant in a healthier way. But this is just another problem, also such as pathogens adapt to the new plant and animals can be genetically engineered to develop resistance to a certain pathogen. However, Bacteria and viruses involved resistant to GMOs as well. This result in stronger, more resistant pathogens. And pwede din siyang mag-lead to unanticipated health issues in the future.
And hindi lang neto na-affect or naapektuhan yung mga halaman or plants only, but also the animals, humans or other organisms that feed to it.
Yes, exactly. Genetic engineering ensures that positive changes will be made, such as the creation of more and healthier foods. Kaso, yung ibang changes nito ay pwedeng negative and unexpected, like drought-resistant plants. For example, may less be tolerant for direct sunlight. Animals that have been genetically modified to produce more milk may have a shorter lifespan, causing farmers to lose more of their livestock. It's it's like or it may be like every changes we do could cause to another changes. And what's make it frustrating is that we don't really know how long it or short can these effects last.
Well, aside from these detrimental effects, I've been curious of the word off target. That seems to be one of the risks in making this genome sequencing.
Yes. As we said, CRISPR is a flexible genome enhancing generation broadly used for analyzing the capability of genetic elements, developing genetically changed organisms, and engaging in preclinical studies on genetic disorders. Merong dalawang study na nag-publish that editing cells which could increase the chance that the cells being altered to treat disease will become cancerous or trigger the development of cancer in other cells. This technology can help many, but there can still be a problem in making this method of treatment because our technology is not that advanced yet in our time today. Since our technology is not that yet fully developed and advanced, a chance of unintended or off-target effects.
So you're saying this is where mutations can happen?
Oo, tama ka dyan. There's a chance that DNA sequences other than the target ones will be altered as well. Halimbawa na lang, noong May 2017, an article published in Nature Methods raised serious concerns about CRISPR. According to the scientists who wrote the article, using CRISPR to edit genes and could result in hundreds of unintended mutations. And this can be a long-term risk because instead of treating cell, we might invent another cancerous cell or viral infections not just in human but also animal and other living organisms.
So it's like what Noren said.
Actually, not just that as one might expect. This news shook investors who had invested in biotechs focused on CRISPR gene editing. And is it possible that gene editing could be used in biological attacks? Nuclear bombs and chemical warfare are probably the first things that come to mind when you think of weapons of mass destruction. However, in 2016, the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, added gene editing to the list of WMD, or weapons of mass destruction. In his testimony to the Senate Armed Service Committee, Clapper mentioned that gene editing as a new global threat, as well as listing the technology as a potential weapon of mass destruction. Why is this so? Gene editing could be used to genetically modify bacteria or viruses for use in biological attacks on humans or to cause widespread crop damage. This may appear to be far-fetched plots from books and movies, but the advent of CRISPR increases the likelihood of gene editing being used in biological attacks more than ever. Unlike, pre- unlike previous gene editing approaches, CRISPR is a cheap and simple to use, which may appeal to terrorist organizations or rogue states.
CRISPR technology really is a huge step forward for the medical field. Because of the latest CRISPR technology, instead of cutting a DNA, it actually edits it, resulting to much safer treatment. But we aren't prepared for what potential risk humanity may be drawn into because of this technology. Because of this technology, because this technology is new, we can't rely on this because we are lacking on knowledge about how this thing works. This can cause some unwanted heritable changes or long-term risk, which isn't humane at all. Aside from aside from humanity's lack of experience in CRISPR technology, it can also be used as weapons at war. Since we are at the modern age, nations wouldn't only rely on guns and guns. The worst part of it, going to war, is when terrorists can lay a hand on this thing because it is low cost and can effectively terrorize people. That is all.
So, ayun, ang dami kong natutunan. So, sana in the near future, maging successful tong ganitong klaseng research. Oh, wala akong masabi. Sobrang ganda talaga. Sana yung mga nakikinig sa atin, ay may natutunan din. So, Jeruel?
Yes. From what I could say, this technology has great potential. Napakalaking potential nito. Dahil yung mga itong bagay na to, akaalain mo talaga na sa science fiction lang siya, no? Yung posibilidad na ma-cure natin yung mga sakit by editing genes, parang malapit na siya eh. Parang mahahawakan na natin siya. For example nga, nung mga di kalayo-layuan na past, hindi maiisip hindi maiisip ng mga tao na magkakaroon ng time kung saan yung mga cellphone magiging touchscreen o kaya tataas yung technology sa mga medicine. Magagamot na natin iba-ibang klaseng viruses, ganun. So, yun nga, malaki potential nito. Pero yung itong technology talaga kailangan na sa tamang kamay. Dahil kung ito napapunta sa taong hindi magandang intention, abay siguro napakalaki ng mga ano natin, posibilidad na maging negative yung epekto natin sa humanity, ganun. So let's wrap this up. Ako nga po ulit si Jeruel James S. Ricafort.
And I am Erdcen Mabuti. We would like to introduce our group mates. Our leader, Jasmine and Hipolito. Our assistant leader, Ednalin Vergara. Our beloved speakers, Jessica Ligutan, Jeverson Franco, Noren Morados, Roland Duran, and our reactors, Etcuban and Jesus Tarel.